Go ahead and start, and we'll jump into annotation group. All right. So I know I said I was going to go over annotation groups, and most of the time, right, that's going through the drawing production, doing the element annotation and annotating your geometry. Some of the other uses, and it's not that you can't manipulate that either, but some of the other uses too are being able to use cells, use different things. What I'm going to go over today is just propagating like delineators. So let's say you have a project and you have to put, you've got a tangent or even a tangent, a curve, and a geometry and everything else that you want to set up on the side to show how you can generate all of those delineators by using an annotation group versus dropping cells or doing different things like that. So in an annotation group, so under my open road standards in my Explorer, I'm going to have information in all the blue. This is what's in the file. In the gray, and I know we've gone through this before, and the gray is the libraries that are contained within your workspace. So within annotation groups, what I'm going to show today is utilizing an annotation group for a cell. So if I go to plan, I'm going to go to linear. So you can see there's a whole bunch of annotation groups in here right now. So what I want to do, so like if I come to this one, I can go, oops, sorry, I'm in annotation definitions. Shouldn't be anything, okay. There's nothing in annotation groups. So I can annotate a geometry, I can annotate whatever I want to annotate, and that will populate within my annotation groups when I do that. I can also create a new one, export it, import it, utilize it for projects if I want. So like, let's say that this is a delineator project. Cool. I'm just going to do that. So I want to create a new annotation group. So I'm just going to call this 2, because what? So I'm just going to call it type 2 delineators. Once I create a new one, or I've run an annotation group, it's going to populate here. When this is populated, and sometimes it'll be defined, sometimes it'll be defined under roadway, drainage, whatever specialty group is in. You can categorize it that way. You can create, I can do a new category, create roadway, put the delineators in there. So for this intents and purposes, I'm just showing an annotation group. I go to manage. When I go to manage on this one, it's just going to show up blank because I don't have anything. If I go into one that I've done and I can edit it, it's going to give me all of the information that I already have in there from an annotation standpoint. So regardless of text, cell, whatever I'm going to annotate, this is where I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add, and I'm going to add a new, and I'm going to do an alignment annotation because that's what I'm picking. Because I have a feature that I want to annotate, so I'm going to pick an annotate or alignment annotation. So I can then rename this in here if I want. So I'm just going to rename it to match my annotation group itself. So I'm going to call it a type 2 delineator. So these are all the different drop downs that I can go through. I'm not going to go through every one of these, but we'll go through some of them, ones that we're going to use to manipulate what we're doing. So from a location standpoint, you can see it says increments. Well, I can do that drop down, and knowing like delineators, well, I can have like a certain maximum, 200-foot maximum, 300-foot, depending on what I'm doing, delineators, curves, tangents, all those things. So I'm going to pick just 200 for now for my increment. So in this increment, so again, in feet is what this is in. So this is going to be in feet going that direction. You have a skip value. Again, once I get into curves, different things, I can break up my elements, whatever I want to do. So that's going to be my increment that I'm going to pick. So I'm going to go every 200 feet. So annotate with, so I can annotate with line, cell, text, symbology. In this case, I want to do a cell because I want to put in that delineator cell that's going across. Then I'm going to come to placement, or sorry, not placement, cell. So placement actually, I'm going to go to that first. So again, I can do a perpendicular offset. So let's say I want to go straight off of my horizontal alignment, and I want to just place delineators off my horizontal alignment. I can do that perpendicular offset. So let's say it's 24 feet or 30 feet off the horizontal alignment. I can put that in for that increment of what that distance is and what those distance values are. So in this case, I'm going to put it right on top because that's what I want it to follow. So what I want to do then is I've said I want to annotate it with the cell. So the cell and the name itself. So I'm going to pick the name, and under the name, I'm going to go and I'm actually just going to type the letter T to take me down towards traffic. And then I can go to traffic. I can scroll down and I can find, there's all my delineators. So I'm just going to pick type 2. I'll pick crystal. So I'm going to pick a type 2 crystal delineator. Notice this is blank. It's blank because I haven't selected display. I selected display. Now you can see I have a delineator on each one. If this is blank, see how those go away? Now if I pick the cell, again, depending on the cell that I pick, and it can be any cell that is within the list of those, I can go to the delineator. I'm going to go pick that again so you can see it shows up. By doing that, now I have that annotation group. If I want to export that annotation group, I export that annotation group over. I can put that on my hard drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on my local drive. I'm going to save it. And then I can take that into my project standards and pull it into my project standards so that everybody has access to that for that project. So it's going to be where reside in my work set. So now I have an annotation group that I want to use. It's in this file. It's only in this file right now. So if I go in another file, I want to use this, I can import that in that type 2 delineators that I exported out. So then I can import that back into any file that I want to. So more than likely, you're probably only going to have it in one file because that's going to be your base file of those delineators. So when I do that annotation group, that is there now. So I'm going to go do element annotation just like I would for geometry or anything else. And override annotation group has to be selected in order for me to pick the annotation group that I want to pick. Notice that linear is colored and also has a color for type 2 delineators. All of these are gray because those are workspace related, and I have not used any of those in my file. That's why they show up gray. Doesn't mean you can't use them. It's just saying that's not active. This is active because I just created it. So if I pick that annotation group, that's what I want to annotate. So I'm going to pick into my file. I'm going to select the feature that I have. So in this case, I have type 9. So I want to go ahead and put those delineators across the top of the barrier. So I'm going to pick that. And once I pick that and accept it, it's going to show up. Those delineators are going to be live on every 200 feet on that feature that I chose. So you can see it puts all of those on there. So wanted to show annotation groups in a little bit different way to show that this is one thing that I can do that's going to help me speed up how I do some of the things that I do. And it can be accurate and put where it needs to be put by using a bunch of different cells and things like that. So hopefully that was helpful. That's where if I right click and manage, that's how I can manage if I want to move text around, if I want my text size or tick size to be smaller and those types of things, I can do that. So do they have item types associated? Depending on the feature, the cell is associated to would have item types. But to know, I see where you're going with it too, Jody, is that's I think that's the goal. I can't tell you specifically. I don't think these do yet.
We're building, we make
Yeah,
just,
but
but it's not everything.
and I think once they do, once we get there, Jody, the intent is, okay, I just did that, right? Then I'm going to be able to, hey, here's all my tabulation, here's everything, good to go.
Yeah, and for now, if you can assign, I mean, there's a user, the instruction will show you if you wanna do this type of annotation and use this, you can go ahead and associate item type to it, and there's steps on how you do that. So
Yeah.
you'll be able for now.
Yeah, and probably the easiest way to do that, to associate that too, is hopefully everybody's aware of this, but in this selection area, notice that there's 5 little icons, but there's space for another little one here that doesn't exist. Well, there's a default, and this is Bentley's default, does not have a select by attributes button.
Yep.
That's how you get that, is you right click in there, you can pick select by attributes. If I select by attributes, I can go and select all of these by the cell, pick them, assign that item type information, I'm done. So there's a lot of different tools that can be used currently to be able to do that.